We don't sleep to dream, we sleep to build stamina. Energy to do our thing, get your camera. This show is about to begin, so sit down and buckle it in. Let's go! Yeah, man, it is Monday at 10 a.m. My name is Brian, that is Shane, and this is Pop Culture Unleashed. Shane was so sick, he really tried to be here on Friday, and then this poor bastard was like, bro, I'm not gonna make it. And I'm like, I get it, bro. I get it. But you know what?
You know, the terrible part about it was Thursday I was okay. So
yeah, Thursday was fine. He pushed a little too hard, and it came back with a vengeance. It was like Bruce Willis, climbing through the ducts, being like, I'm gonna get to that brain.
Hey, well, real quick before you go into our stuff here, I just want to say thank you to everybody with all the wonderful well wishes, and from Discord to Twitter and here on YouTube. Thank you guys for sending me your prayers and thoughts. I appreciate it. It's been a rough week. Yeah,
for everyone asking if it's AI, I'd be honest, it actually is AI, and isn't it great? He looked out great. His the artificial intelligence.
It's the best AI ever created. Yeah.
Bro, I was I was on Facebook. I know most people don't use Facebook very often, but I still do sometimes. And I'm looking at this article about, the mud flood theory, Tartaria, the lost empire that was lost in the mud floods or whatever. Whatever. It's a fun rabbit hole to go down, but it's not real. And there's this painting someone did of what looks like a skyscraper in the side of a mountain. And someone was like, this is proof that the Tartaria, whatever it's called, existed. And I knew what the painting was because that's one of my favorite paintings. But the very first comment was, we got to stop with this AI thing, okay? It's sharing pictures, is great, but don't use AI to try to fake your theory. And I'm like, and the comments were like, this is an AI picture. I'm like, no, it's a famous painting by a famous individual.
Well, that's what's coming, by the way. People are going to stop the blurred lines between what's real and what's AI. It's coming. Can't help it. That's true.
One day, this entire show will just be two AIs.
It'd be a hell of a lot easier for us.
It would be. Imagine if we invented a couple AIs and they were way more entertaining than we were.
Would not be far-fetched at all.
Yeah, it would not be. So we are talking about Argylle today. Argylle starring Henry Cavill and Deadpool saving the MCU. Fun article about that. And we got a Peacemaker spinoff. There's a lot of DC news coming out. Apparently a lot of things are going to shoot this year, which is going to be fun. And of course we have our weekly weird. And this just happened, but hopefully if we have time, we're going to touch on the whole Tucker Carlson Russia thing going on, because I think it's fascinating. Yeah, but besides being in bed, Shane, how was your weekend?
Well, that's pretty much what it was. It's this funny. This whole illness thing is hilarious. I got it from my 11-year-old when we went to Texas. I was stuck in the car with him for basically 3 days, and he was sick for only a day and a half of it. So of course, an 11-year-old is sick for a day and a half, and a 50-year-old is sick for a week. So that's kind of the thankfulness of it. But no, it's pretty much just a lot of time down and trying to recover, and a lot of rain right now in California.
It's really funny. Someone asked me after the Giant Slayer show yesterday. They're like, "Was Shane part of that Texas convoy or something?"
Oh, God,
because you just happened to be on the road going to Texas at the same exact time.
I was telling everybody I was like interviewing border patrol and stuff. Yeah, no, it was there for a totally different reason, personal reason actually, but it was fun, checking out the border while we were there. Did you hear about the storm?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Did you hear about this storm that's happening? So I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but California is apparently having a like generational, once in a lifetime storm. This seems to be happening very frequently lately.
Yeah, I keep it generational. San Diego, first time ever hit with a hurricane. And all these, it's like every 3 months or some like never before thing happening in California, and it's I'm starting to. It's not exciting anymore.
Well, like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, it was. There's no turning back. California has been in a drought for so long that it's impossible to turn back now. We are, for the rest of the existence, we will now just be a desert without water. and then immediately now everything is overflowing with water constantly, right? So
Right.
that just goes to show you that nobody knows what you're talking about. But even funnier,
Remember,
last week,
hold up before you go to that point. Remember, Lake Mead, all-time low. It's about to be standing water. We're
Right.
finding mob hits and dead cars and dead bodies from the 50s. This is the end of Lake Mead. Never gonna happen. Like immediately. Just
no, it's true. It's true.
monsoon levels of rain.
But this week it took a whole new turn because, there's been this like kind of freak out thing with the whole hurricane came and people were like, oh, you got to be careful. But this week there were actually headlines put out that said something to the effect of, oh my God, you are all in trouble. Like literally headlines across the get to safety quickly.
Panic.
Headline came out like 600, whatever it was like 6 million people in danger. And I'm like, what in the hell's going on? And of course it rained. I mean, there were some, some floods, but nothing more abnormal than ever usually is. So
although
the news media is just weird.
I love seeing the TikToks where those poor, unfortunate people with beachfront property.
Well, they pick their own poison.
They have beachfront property, and they're in like their living room, in the same living room that looks out to the ocean, and their glass doors are shut, and you see waves hitting their glass doors. They're like, "Yo, man, this is crazy." I'm like, "Why are you still there? Why are you still in your home, man?"
Well, they never actually wash away. It's funny. The only thing the news media managed to accomplish is like terrifying my mother. Like, so, and I'll get these nonstop text messages from my mom saying, is everything okay? Are you guys all right? And I'm like, it's like sprinkling outside. I'm like, Mom, it's fine. Please don't listen to the news. They just want people to watch.
Where I'm at, there's a lot of rain. I think it's awesome, but a lot of people sort of freak out about it, I'm looking at like my kid walking up the driveway yesterday. She's like, look how green the grass is, Dad. I'm like, yeah,
I haven't had to run my sprinklers in 2 months, man.
Bet you didn't know, babe. That's what grass is supposed to look like.
Well, what do you do?
Yeah.
All right. What do you want to get into today?
Well, we got to talk about this Argylle thing. So let me tee it up real quick. Argylle is a Matthew Vaughn film starring a plethora of amazing actors, written by award-winning, creatives, and has all the right people behind the movie. It should be an easy win for the studio. So Shane and I actually put this movie on our most anticipated film. I don't know if you recall.
It was mine for sure.
Yeah, and it was starring Bryce Dallas Howard as Ellie Conway, Henry Cavill. Remember that name?
No, you're doing that wrong. You shouldn't have. Why did you mention her name first?
Well, because
she. No. Why you don't mention her name first?
All right. Let me do it.
Because it wasn't supposed to go down that way. Go ahead.
All right. I'm fine.
Do it properly. Who does this movie star?
Well, it according to the poster, it's Henry Cavill,
and the trailer and the poster and pretty much any sort of because that's what the studio wanted you to believe.
Yeah, according to the poster, it's Henry Cavill, Sam Jackson.
Wait, where's Dallas? Yeah, Bryce Dallas.
Right there, over here.
Dua Lipa even has
Dua Lipa. I always forget her name.
Yeah.
John Cena.
And a chick who almost is never even in the movie is at the end of that list, but that's cool. All right.
Yeah, John Cena, and of course Sam Rockwell. Like, look at this star-studded cast. And I mean, obviously the cat is the actual main star of the movie, but you know what I mean.
When you're pandering, that's what you do.
In a minute, don't bury the dude. Don't kill the lead.
Let me tell you who went to see the movies this weekend. Cat ladies. That's for dang sure.
So, and it was made by Matthew Vaughn, the guy who did the Kingsman movies, which I enjoyed immensely. It's probably one of my favorite franchises. It's probably my favorite new franchise to come out because it's a franchise, and it's even better than, for me, it's better than John Wick, which I also appreciate. But as far as new franchises go, like this guy made an entire new franchise of movies. Well, I gotta say, he probably should have stuck to Kingsman because he made this movie Argylle.
Well, did you see? Never mind. I don't
Oh no,
wanna
I
give
know,
away-
I did. And also, by the way, new video on the Shane AI channel because Shane AI also had a comment about that.
Really? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I was so angry that I couldn't express this on Friday. I commanded Shane to go look it up, and he popped out an audio that was pretty good, so I put it online.
Nice.
So this movie that comes out, and it's basically not about any of these characters. In reality, it's about, like Shane said, the Bryce Dallas Howard character, Ellie Conway. And so she's a writer, and she's writing this book. She's writing these books that are very popular, but they're also really close to the truth. And so, how do I explain this? You want to explain this better than me?
Yeah, so they actually go through the movie's actually. So I'll just say a couple of things first. The movie is it's not a bad movie. Let's put it out. Despite the fact that it bombed over the weekend, it only had $18 million in sales. It's a $200 million movie without marketing, so they need to make about probably $400 million to really break even on this. So it was a bombed box office. Now, people are telling me a lot of people are sick. Maybe they didn't go to the theater. We'll see what happens. I don't think that's the case. I think that we got rug pulled by the studio, despite the fact that the first half of the movie is actually pretty good. And the movie actually starts out essentially like the trailer does,
right,
where we're seeing this character with Henry Cavill and John Cena and Dua Lipa. But that is pretty much the extent of what you're going to get. Not to give away too many spoilers here, but Henry Cavill is not the star of this movie. Instead, he is a character, which we do see in the trailer. And some of the arguments is, well, we already knew he was just a character written by Bryce Dallas Howard. And that is true. But the one thing we didn't expect was that would be, pretty much the beginning of the movie and some small, blips throughout the movie. We figured, even if that character was made up by her, somehow, maybe perhaps he would be introduced in real life somehow. Somehow that fake character in the book becomes real in the movie, and therefore we get more of him. It's definitely, people thought they were going to see 100% they were going to go see this movie starring him, made by Matthew Vaughn of Kingsman. So who wouldn't be excited about the fact that you're going to have a Kingsman movie with, Superman basically starring in it?
Yeah. By the way, just to jump in here real quick, the few minutes you see in the trailer is pretty much what you see in the movie.
Well, it's the beginning of the movie,
right? It's like that's what you like. Henry Cavill is like, that's pretty much it. I mean, and it's this weird transformation thing that works once, but it doesn't work as they continue the trend. It's weird the way they do that with the morphing thing.
Yeah. So Sam Rockwell is actually fantastic in this movie. I would argue he steals the movie pretty much. So basically what happens is, you saw in the trailer, if you saw the trailer, so Bryce Dallas Howard's writing this story about Agent Argylle, which we appear, seems to be him here. And then what ends up happening is we see her on a train, and Sam Rockwell is essentially kicking butt on the train and trying to protect her and basically rescue her is what we see. And during that time, what it doesn't show you is during that time, the Sam Rockwell character is like being superimposed with the Henry Cavill Argylle agent character. And it's like this weird kind of thing, which happens okay in the beginning on the train. And it's kind of interesting, but it continues a little further and it kind of gets a little weird.
Right.
But where this movie really does well is it kind of shows you how a writer writes things and how they would go through the process. I thought it was really cool how they showed her putting things on the page, and then the character would actually talk to her and say, well, what are we doing now? And, showing her writer's block and some of the interesting issues that she had. And they did a good job of setting up this character. The one real problem this movie has, and I want to say this very carefully because I really like Bryce Dallas Howard. She is, Richie Cunningham's daughter. And she really is a delight anytime she's acting, even in movies that don't turn out so good, like some of the Jurassic World stuff. She still usually is a breath of fresh air.
I still liked her in Jurassic World. But maybe because I thought she was super hot in that.
The first one.
I like the red hair.
I mean, yeah, the red hair is great. Of course, she wouldn't be she wouldn't be in the movies without it. That's for sure. And honestly, no one wants to disparage redheads in Hollywood right now because very rarely do they get any roles.
No, I'm a redhead advocate. Okay. Redhead lives matter.
But in this case, unfortunately, I think that she does a disservice to the movie. She does a really good job playing the Ellie, I think Ellie Conway character, the writer. She actually does a really good job playing that character. But later on in the movie, it morphs into something different. And when that morph changes, that's when the movie really takes a turn. And all of a sudden, what goes from being like, okay, I can kind of see all this going down and happening, then it becomes completely and totally unbelievable.
Unhinged.
And it really does. And mostly not because, I want to say this very carefully, because Brian and I are very big guys. Okay. So we definitely don't want to give anybody a hard time for being overweight, but Bryce Dallas Howard is very, very thick.
Rotund.
And without giving away too much, there was a skinnier version of her earlier in time in this movie, which would make more sense. And then now, as her character has this sort of transformation later in the film, she's doing things, as you can see here, that her rotund body probably would not allow her to do. It takes away some of the believability. As great as she is in this role, I think they would have done better with going with a character like an Ana de Armas. I know that's kind of like a typical throw-in. Would have been tough. They needed somebody who was a little more athletic, maybe like an Anna Taylor-Joy, somebody who could morph from being.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but like they needed a different stunt double too. It was obvious in certain multiple parts that it wasn't the same person.
I didn't think so at all. Actually, I thought.
And by the way, I'm not disparaging her. I think she's hot. I like her curves.
No, I get it. It's not about she is hot in her own way. She is hot for just like being on screen and being there. But once you see what she does, it becomes so unbelievable, unrealistic that it's like, well, it actually takes you out of the movie and makes you go, well, this is absolutely not plausible. Right. Despite the fact that I feel like I kind of got, stabbed in the back by not getting a Henry Cavill movie. He's in it in small pieces, but I would say no more than like 5 minutes of the overall movie is he in total, if you combined everything together. It is a Bryce Dallas Howard movie, and her co-star is Sam Rockwell, which by the way does a great job. But it is not believable that she's who she is at the end of this movie. And as good of an actress as she is, and as wonderful as she is, you really needed to understand and believe that the transformation that she goes through, she shouldn't be able to perform the same way she did 5 years ago as a skinnier character, which they show us a skinnier character of her. Right. And to 5 years later, when she's done nothing but sit down and write books, to now she's the same exact person she was when she was in shape, I guess is the right word. So it becomes like, imagine Chris Farley, Dan, he was very athletic, but we saw that though. Remember in Wagons East or whatever it was? But that's a comedy.
He was pretty athletic.
That's a comedy. Okay. This was not supposed to, there was funny moments to this, but it was not a comedy movie.
Yeah. I get it.
It was, you needed to have some sort of belief system. Now you can walk away from this movie and say, it was a fine movie. It was cool. There were good elements to it. There's nothing woke about it. It's fine, a fun time. It's just not what we expected when we went to it. We were thinking we were getting something complete. It could have been so much cooler when you think of everything Matthew Vaughn has done and what this movie was capable of being.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, I did like the movie. I didn't dislike it.
Right. But I would go to far as say I didn't dislike it either.
Yeah, but I was definitely expecting something else. And, to be fair, I love the fact that we're able to review a movie and our entire review isn't about how silly and woke it is, and it's about the merits of the story. Like, it's so rare that we get to do this. Usually we're like, well, for some reason, that guy identifies as a giraffe. I don't know why. A lot of our reviews are about how the DEI is just sort of like wrecking the story. This is not the case. This is really, I think that Matthew Vaughn got really caught up in his own hype a little bit,
I think there's a lot of cleverness here, like trying to be super clever. Mm-hmm. John Cena's great. I mean, it's funny. I think that if they had just done a couple things different, if they had put Bryce Dallas Howard at the front of the poster, if they had kind of featured her. Now they don't want to show you the twist of the movie.
Right.
You can't do that. But had we walked into it going, well, what we're really going to watch is an action romance, and almost more of a, I would even call this a chick flick. I really would. I mean, and which is cool. We don't have a lot of chick flick movies, honestly, like this. This is more of like, think of Romancing the Stone. And this is and I don't know if you guys remember back to Romancing the Stone.
Yeah, Michael Douglas, Kathleen
Turner, right? Kathleen Turner was a writer. She ends up, stuck with this Michael Douglas character, and she ends up on this incredible adventure that she's never been on, that nobody thought she was capable of doing. It's the same type of situation here, except you believe that Kathleen Turner could physically do some of the things that happen in that movie, whereas you don't believe that Bryce Dallas Howard is remotely even capable or possibly could do it. So I think that it just takes away from a little bit of it. And while it's a fun movie and the cat's cute and there's some stuff, my heart is broken for not enough Henry Cavill, not enough John Cena. Sam Rockwell, I can't figure out if he's her like dad parental type or her, older uncle or something. And then what ends up becoming kind of shocks and surprises me a little bit. I think you're like, that was a little bit. Yeah. I think he ends up calling her kid or something, or young miss or something throughout the movie. And then you're like, what the hell's going on here? So it's just got weird in the second half, I think.
Yeah. Probably not worth your time at the theater, but definitely, check it out on streaming, I suppose. And listen, if you're into cats, it really is, made for you. Especially, if you're a lady that loves cats and Henry Cavill, and I think you're probably gonna like it.
No, not Henry Cavill. There's no. You're not there for. I mean, what, for the five minutes of Henry Cavill? You're there for the romance between Bryce Dallas Howard.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. Overall, I still enjoyed the movie. I just didn't like the movie. I was just like,
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
Bryan Cranston, got to mention him a little bit as the bad guy. He was pretty fantastic, actually. He really played a bad guy. He makes you think he's bad.
Right.
And there's some really nice twists in there. You're not going to get much Dua Lipa, that's for sure. She's basically in just at the beginning of the movie. And then make sure you stick around. If you do watch it, make sure you stick around for the deleted scene or the post-credit scene, because it does speak to the overall universe that Matthew Vaughn is attempting to create.
It straight up tries to tie it to Kingsman. He's trying to make like a Vaughn verse.
It seemed like it, yeah.
A Vaughn multiverse, or whatever you want to call it.
Which means, I guess, you could bring, because you do see I guess there's potential that Henry Cavill could be in another movie future for this, and maybe perhaps that character then takes over which it would have been a better. Frankly speaking, it would have been a better movie had somehow Henry Cavill been more woven into the whole story as an actual character and not someone in her mind that's pretty much just at the beginning.
Yeah. You know what I would love to see? I would love to see a Matthew Vaughn movie with Henry Cavill, like with Henry Cavill as the actual star.
Great.
Because Matthew Vaughn he's very talented, very clever. His shots are super, like, just visual. His cinematography,
great fighting scenes.
Yeah, his fight choreography is awesome. Him and Henry Cavill in a Matthew Vaughn movie would be awesome. But this wasn't it.
Yeah, Henry Cavill coming out doing redoing the Highlander series is going to be really cool.
Yeah, as long as they don't take it super seriously. I don't want to see it's a period piece and it's like
it wasn't a comedy the first time, bro.
I understand that, but we're in a different time where it's like, if you have a 2-hour movie and an hour and 43 minutes of it is him talking about his past, I don't want to see that anymore. I've already seen that.
But I don't think the Highlander movies were that way either. There's a lot of head chopping off going on in those movies.
Yeah, I mean, for the cheap campy stuff, I watched the rebooted TV show recently, and it was just like,
no, the TV show, no.
What's going on?
The movies. Christopher Lambert, Highlander.
Why are we talking so much? Like this?
Because it's a TV show, and it'd be too expensive if there's too much action.
Too much talking. Too much romance. This is the Highlander. Stop. All right.
It's a TV show, though. There's a reason why you don't make it into a TV show.
I'm just saying, I see a movie is going to be someone's going to get that movie and they're going to take it way too serious. And like, it's okay to be serious, but like there has to be some fun action.
No, everything does not need to be Fast X, bro. Okay,
I'm not
everything
saying
needs
Fast
to be
X, but everything doesn't have to be Killers of the Flower Moon either. Like,
well, it never was. Even originally, it wasn't Killers of the Flower Moon.
Originally, it was a little more campy, but like that's where we're going with this. I can
not
already
campy.
see where we're going with the
wrong
Highlander.
word. Campy is the wrong word. Campy means fun.
No,
and Highlander is not a fun movie. Highlander is a Terminator, Predator, badass, kick-ass movie.
Yeah, there's a lot of cheese in that movie, so you can say whatever you want. There's a lot of cheese.
Maybe filming cheese for the time, but I'm just saying not acting cheese. That's for damn sure.
I don't think Chris Lambert attempted to be cheese, but like, he's not a great actor. So like
well, of course not.
But he accidentally exuded and oozed cheese from his pores. By the way, I like Highlander, but I can see what they're going to do with it today. Either it's going to be stupid Fast X or really stupid serious. There's not going to be, and you need a happy medium. Give us an entertaining.
Do you think Henry Cavill's going to allow that to happen?
Okay, that's true.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. Okay, that's a really good point because Henry Cavill has literally never disappointed me. So
he'll be like, I'm just going to leave the set now.
He's like, yeah, listen, you've now had, he's like, you've had my shirt off 14 times. Several times I wasn't even filming. So I'm just going to leave now.
I haven't cut off anyone's head in 3 weeks. I'm leaving.
Where is the sword? I need a larger sword. This is not working for me. Yeah, that's true. Like in Witcher, they're like every reason to get him naked. And he even says, he goes,
I get it.
Why am I always naked?
Well, frankly speaking, that's how people would like to see you.
He's over there he's building his own computer on Twitch while they're filming. I'm serious, this actually happened. While they're filming Witcher, he's building his own gaming rig so he can play more Witcher. And they're like, Henry, we need you to get oiled up. He's like, I gotta go, guys.
No, it's funny. He's like, listen, my shirt is off in here. Is that not good enough for you? Come on now.
Just a bunch of horn dogs over there.
He
was literally just being like sexually assaulted nonstop. And then he was the bad guy when he left. He's like, yeah, this ain't working for me anymore.
That's what happens when you turn away lustful women, man.
Okay. All right. So, when you guys watch Argylle, I hope you guys can let us know what you guys thought about it. And in the process, let us know what you guys think about Kingsman. And that whole possible universe. And it's every once in a while a franchise has, I don't want to say misstep, but like not so good additions. That doesn't mean you completely throw out the franchise. If he really is starting a franchise and this is his Thor 1, that doesn't mean it's the entire franchise will be bad. In Marvel Phase 1, there was multiple movies that were just like, But overall, the whole story worked, and it was great. So, I mean...
No, Matthew Vaughn knows how to tell a story. I mean, he picked the wrong actress, and I think the studio... And I don't even think it was him, probably. It was probably the studio who said, no, we're going to set this up and we're going to rug pull people. I don't think Matthew Vaughn would. I think he would have been straight out front. Hey, Bryce Dallas Howard's the star of this film. I think he would have owned it. So I definitely don't put this on him. And I don't think it's a bad movie. And I think that credit where credit's due. This shit's hard. It's hard to make these movies. Yeah.
Oh, and, that sequence with the colored mist.
Yeah. Totally gratuitous, but memorable. A Matthew Vaughn type of thing.
Yeah, it's definitely That was totally Matthew Vaughn. The whole time I'm looking at him like, this could be a scene from Kingsman 3, and I wouldn't even know.
Correct.
Yeah. All right, guys. Moving on, let's talk about. I'm not sure if you saw this. Speaking of Matthew Vaughn, and here's watch this amazing transition. Ready? Speaking of Matthew Vaughn, did you hear his comments recently on the new Deadpool 3 movie?
I did not, but good transition.
Yeah, like that. Well, so recently, Matthew Vaughn came out and said Deadpool 3 is a jolt. Like Jolt Cola, that can save the whole Marvel universe, says X-Men First Class director Matthew Vaughn. By the way, I like Matthew Vaughn a lot. I think that he's made a lot of things that I've really thoroughly enjoyed. So we're not criticizing Matthew Vaughn on that last time. I think that
was really good.
Yeah, great movie. Okay, so Matthew Vaughn isn't directing Deadpool 3. That task falls to Sean Levy. But he apparently knows enough information about the upcoming Marvel tentpole that he's ready to proclaim that it will save the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe. And before we move on with that...
Wait a second. This says a lot. Simply saying that it needs to be saved. You got to read some context between the words.
And that's why I said before we move on to the next part of the article, I do want to talk about that. Matthew Vaughn is saying that the Marvel Universe requires saving.
Mm-hmm. That's yes.
The most important part of this is not if Deadpool 3 can save the MCU. It's that multiple people in Hollywood with some serious juice believe that the MCU requires saving in the first place.
They're just not usually willing to say it.
Right.
Yeah. So you got a great situation here where Matthew Vaughn's like, and he probably didn't even mean it this way. Sometimes shit just slips. You know, it obviously needs to be saved. I mean, what are we doing now? What are we making? What is Echo the last thing that came out with
the last thing that came out was Echo and about the deaf superhero and this new version of Daredevil. It's like getting to the point. You know what the MCU reminds me of right now? I don't know if when you guys were kids, if you ever went to a comic book shop, but I used to go to this comic book shop in the Orange Circle. It's like historic Orange County, right? And I would go in there and I would actually come back from class, and instead of going home, I would take a different bus and go to the Orange Circle to go see the comic books. And when I got in there, I would start at where they put the comic books in the front. You have your Superman, your Batman, your Spider-Man, the death of Superman lives. I'm sorry, not the death of Superman. You have your the Killing Joke. All these amazing books, like the bestsellers and their variant covers and all that. And you go a little further and you have, and at the time that, Iron Man wasn't super popular, but he was popular with comic books, but not popular in the general zeitgeist. So then you had Iron Man and you had, Daredevil, and you had, your sort of tier 2 kind of characters that had a lot of fans, but they weren't like the tentpole. They weren't like the X-Men and Superman and Batman, right? And you went a little further, and you had like your She-Hulks, and like these were like the third tier was like popular, but partly popular because they were like the covers were like almost pornographic, right? They couldn't put those in the front for fear that parents would look in and freak out. And then you got to like the fourth tier, and this was like the bin, where they didn't even set the comic books up. It was just all the comics that they've now had for so long that they couldn't sell. And the bargain bin. The same bin where at one side of the bin, it was like the dollar comics. And it cost them way more than that. The damn thing even says it's $1.75, and they're selling it for $1. So like if the retail costs $1.75 and they're selling for $1, they're losing money on these ones. And the bargain bin comics was like Echo, Ironheart, and I'm obviously some of these things didn't exist back then, but I'm just naming current ones. Well, even honestly, Hawkeye to a certain degree, Hawkeye's daughter, the Deadpool family, that was one of them, where it was like a Deadpool dog or something, and you're looking at like the bargain bin of superheroes that no one cares about. No one. They either weren't written very well, drawn very well, or they sort of messed with, the way people like their comics. And they had like a lot of messaging and stuff. And people, and a lot of like most comic book fans and most young men sort of reject. They reject that ideology, and most young men have. So these comic books didn't sell, and it was the bargain bin comics. Somehow, we skipped over like 2 tiers of comics and went from like some of the best comic book movies of all time to the bargain bin. And now we're in the bargain bin age of, for some reason, superhero movies. at least for Marvel. And it's so odd to me. It's so odd. It makes no sense. And it's not like they don't have decades and decades and decades of numbers to make it very well known that people don't like these characters, but they still push them.
Yeah, well, they've when you mess up, you can't exactly necessarily fix it, so they just move on, and that's kind of what happened. When Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, sinks, when your Captain Marvel sinks, and you're like, well, what the hell? When your Secret Invasion TV show fails, and you start to have this realization that wow, nothing's working that used to work for us. So they start grasping at straws at other characters. Well, let's try this character. Well, let's try this. And what they're really not doing is just stopping and asking themselves, well, why are we failing right now? Well, the reason they're failing is because there's just too much of it. Like we've had too much, too quick. I need to slow down. Need to figure out a new direction, like the X-Men, like we're doing here.
Also, the messaging.
The messaging is a problem, but the real problem is nobody's excited about going to see superhero stuff.
Well, because they failed so much.
They failed and we're tired.
No one wanted the Marvels. Why did we make the Marvels? Literally not a single person was like, I need a Marvels movie.
Because they didn't know what anybody needed anymore. You know what I mean? It's like, where's the new direction to go? The secret sauce that allowed the MCU to be great, the Avengers, was over. It's like, where do you go from here? So they started just grasping at straws and doing stuff, and it failed and failed. And so they kept sinking deeper and deeper into the hole. And now they're at a place where the only thing you can really do is like Star Wars is just shut this shit off. Turn it off.
Yeah.
Stop for a while.
Take a break.
Get a 5-year break. But they won't do that because Disney has put so much money into Marvel. They have put so much money into this stuff. They have so much invested that they literally can't stop making content because they will just destroy them if they don't. It's this total catch-22 where they have to keep making things in order to make money or to justify, but they really just keep digging a hole deeper for themselves. It's a sad reality.
And I don't know what characters they go to, but you know what I would have done after Avengers? I wouldn't have attempted to stay in that family of superheroes after killing, 4 of the... After killing Tony, after effectively killing Captain America, after banishing Thor, and emasculating him to the point where he's just a big, giant, fat, beer-drinking video game player. After completely, using up all these characters, what I would have done was I would have went and moved on to the X-Men. I would have, what I would have done? I would have skipped everything we did right now, and I would have went straight to this Deadpool 3 idea.
There was a problem. They had just rebooted the X-Men movies with new characters, young characters. Remember that? So they had really just kind of got that going again. And really, it would have been weird to just then reset it again immediately. I think that was probably what they thought. They said, listen, we can do X-Men. And they're like, well, crap. We just did a whole bunch of X-Men stuff.
Well, I mean, that was 2011, though.
No, it goes all the way up to 2016, right? When was X-Men First Class?
2011. Yeah. X-Men First Class was 2011 for sure.
I know, but then weren't there 3 movies?
I guess, yeah, with Armageddon or whatever. But they made it very clear in those movies that those younger movies were connected to the older movies. They could have, they had connection. They owned the characters. They could have easily have brought those characters over and started working with those characters and gave the proper MCU proper characters a rest.
They did the New Mutants in 2020.
No, that didn't ever even came out though.
I know, but they were working on it. So that was already something that irons in the fire. You know what I'm saying? So they had to go looking for things. And plus they had embraced this whole, woke agenda with all of their stuff. So they had to like infiltrate that all into it. Remember Thor's, Thor's what's her name took over.
I love Christian Bale in that movie though.
Yeah. Christian Bale's great, but even that movie wasn't that horrible, but the fact that they were moving in that direction, right. And they were going to have, Valkyrie take over basically Thor's position and turn this all into a woman. I mean, that's where they decided they were going to go, and it just kind of ruined things. Yeah,
they should have sunset those heroes and those characters and those heroes in a way that was respectful, without trying to replace them with female equivalents, and then so sunset them and then move on to your X-Men universe. Deadpool was always made money. People always wanted it. You should just put your effort into that.
So yeah, X-Men Apocalypse came out in 2016, and then Dark Phoenix came out in 2019.
No
It would
shit,
have been
really?
Yeah, it would have been very hard to reboot the X-Men because 2018-19 is when the MCU was coming to its final conclusion. It would have been really hard to reset X-Men at that point. I don't
Wow.
know where they went after this. There's a reason why they went with Shang-Chi,
Shang-Chi or whatever, yeah.
They thought maybe they'd go into the whole Doctor Strange universe kind of situation. I thought they really thought that's the direction they were going to go. And then the multiverse of madness was kind of weird, so I just think they lost themselves, frankly. And
had they skipped Shang-Chi and skipped the Eternal, like the Eternals came out after Avengers. That was like the first one. And that was confusing.
It was confusing, but the Eternals is like one of these movies. I know everybody hates the Eternals, but like the message in the Eternals is like critical to like buttoning up the whole Avengers main storyline with Thanos.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
without that picture of what happened with the Eternals, you're like, holy shit, that's really what Thanos was all about.
Right.
You finally understand.
Thanos was trying to save the universe.
Yeah.
The saving grace for that movie for me is that movie makes Thanos a way better character.
Yes, I agree. Even though the movie itself is hot garbage.
Right. And there's a giant statue now sticking out of the stratosphere that no one mentions again. They shouldn't have done that. They made mistakes.
They needed to take a break. They need to take a break and say, how can we redo the MCU? How can we do this whole thing with the Avengers over again with another group? Let's give a 2-year breather. Let's work on it, figure out what we're going to do. But no, Disney Plus is out. We need TV shows. I mean, it was a problem of the times. It was COVID. It was all these things related to messaging, everything. It was just a perfect storm of hot shit garbage, and the MCU fell right into the middle of it. So
yeah. So Matthew Vaughn goes on to say, so speaking to Bro Bible's post-credit podcast. That's a cool name for a podcast, by the way.
Bro Bibles?
The Bro Bible's post-credit podcast. Vaughn said he's hoping for nothing but the best for the sequel. Vaughn, who's making the press rounds, blah, blah. His words. The few snippets that I know about Deadpool versus Wolverine or Wolverine versus Deadpool, I'm sure that argument between Ryan and Hugh is happening as we speak, are unbelievable. That is going to be a jolt. The Marvel Universe is about to have a jolt of them, and it's going to bring back that body to life. Oh, my God. I think Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman are about to save the whole Marvel Universe. That's his exact words. So one way he could do that, and I'm just going to go, you guys can go read this article if you want. It's on Variety. One way Deadpool can do that is if they go with the Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe. And we've talked about this before. Kills the Marvel Universe storyline where like they basically wrap up all the X-Men. They destroy the multiverse. Effectively, right. Deadpool destroys the multiverse and brings it all into one universe. Let
me ask you the hard question. Still, even if they do that, even if they accomplish that, where do they go from there?
I don't know, but wherever it is, better have Ryan Reynolds involved.
But my point is they still have the same problem. They need a breather. They cannot reset everything. Even if Ryan Reynolds comes in and everything that once existed no longer exists anymore, you still have to start over with something. And they don't know what the hell to start. We want to start over with Iron Man again, with a new Iron Man. You can't. Robert Downey Jr. still exists. It would not work. It's too soon. So
now, I'm not saying you do all that. I think
you're stuck.
Let them kill the MCU and then take a break. And whatever they do that. And whatever
I
they
agree.
Whatever they come out with afterwards. If Kevin Feige is dumb, if this is wildly successful and he doesn't have Ryan Reynolds involved in the MCU going forward, that's all I'm gonna say. Because Ryan Reynolds looked at the problem, and he's trying to write, Deadpool 3, and he's looking at everything, and he goes, "This is the only way I can do this. This is the only way this makes sense." And if he actually does what I think he's gonna do, what I just said he was gonna do, then that is legitimately the only way it makes sense. Exactly what the comics do. When the comics get too bloated, what do they have them? Flashpoint and Crisis on Infinite Earths and all these different these events where they destroy the entire multiverse and start over. he's just doing what the comic book's been doing for years when they get too convoluted.
Yeah, I think you're right. I just don't know where they go. I think they need a break, do this movie, and then take 2 years off and try to figure out what direction you want to do and find a way to start over like you did with Iron Man. I think they should find a new character or an old character, somebody they can reinvent. You're going to have to find a really fantastic actor. You're going to have to find somebody who's like a game-changing type character who can like then like embrace and like, lock down your franchise for like the next 10 years. You're going to need somebody like that. You're going to need like a, when Hugh Jackman came along with Wolverine or of Iron Man, or you're going to need these characters, these iconic characters, somebody to come in and be the new version of those. I think that's the only way you can do it. And then you just start over with new stories and be compelling and tell great stories. And hopefully the Russo brothers are available.
Yeah. I found it interesting, really interesting, that if you recall, Hugh Jackman was not supposed to be the main character.
Right. No, he wasn't. You're right.
Yeah. And Cyclops sort of got the shaft there because he was supposed to be like the leading man.
But Wolverine's always been the main character.
I know, but he wasn't supposed to be it. But Hugh Jackman was the best actor on screen. The character was the coolest character.
He looked like Wolverine.
Right, and he sucked the air out of the room every time he walked in.
Everybody did.
And so going, they're like, oh, hold up. Every movie needs to just be based on Wolverine now. Rewrites.
Wolverine was always the best X-Men character, I think.
Anyways. I think I liked Rogue a lot, and I liked Storm. Both those characters. Yeah. The idea,
but none of the stories ever pivoted around them, even the comic books.
You know what? Probably my favorite X-Men is Gambit, hands down. And Channing Tatum should have gotten that job.
Everybody loves Gambit.
Yeah, so rad. Okay, moving on. You know what? I'm sorry to, inundate you with comic book nonsense.
You can tell who's been sick last week. That's for sure.
But Shane has been sick, and I'm not trolling all the normal political channels that he does. I look for things that I'm mostly interested in
that he likes.
And we need to talk about this. Shane, did you know?
Probably not.
That the new James Gunn led DCU, which canceled everything else. They pretty much turned off the Snyderverse. But Peacemaker,
boo.
But Peacemaker, which is James Gunn's, damn, it's hard to say in plural, his project, is going to continue going forward. And in fact, not only is it going to get another season in the new James Gunn DC universe, but it's also getting a spinoff series called Waller with Viola Davis.
Anymore, Brian. I can't take it anymore. I don't want any more Amanda Waller. Please, this woman is in every damn movie.
Viola Davis is awesome as Amanda Waller. No.
That's why I said Amanda Waller. I did not say Viola Davis. Yeah. I am so sick of Amanda Waller. But yeah, you knew they were going to do it. So
right. So the interesting part about this is this begs the question: how does this work? How are you explaining this canonically, bro? Like, I know James Gunn. Look,
he's in everything.
James Gunn is an amazing creative. He has never let me down. But some of the stuff that he's doing with DC is, because I haven't seen it yet, I guess, is just so confusing to me that I can't wrap my head around it.
Maybe that's good. Maybe that's a good thing, because I think that's the way James Gunn operates. Like, you don't think that, the Suicide Squad is going to be good.
No. When they announced it, I was like, why are we doing this again?
Right. So you're like, you were confused, right? You're like,
right.
I don't know about this. That's and true. Then, of course, Peacemaker came out and like, oh, come on, John Cena. That I didn't even like that superhero that much.
Dude, legit. I was legit. Right? First off, that was like, I wasn't very interested in that movie, and then I wasn't very interested in that character.
Right.
And I'm not interested in John Cena as that character, and I'm not interested in that character in a series. Like, in every way, this is supposed to be a massive letdown. And you watch it, and you have John Cena dancing with a bald eagle, and I'm like,
yeah. No, you're right.
Why do I love this so much?
No, and that's what James Gunn does. He takes things and you go, why or what, or this is going to be weird and horrible, and then all of a sudden it's like it's beautiful and amazing. So I just trust the process with him, and I'm just going to assume that even though I'm like squinting and going, oh, this seems like it's going to be terrible, it's just somehow going to end up being amazing, because it always is. So I don't know. As long as he can give it that weird, like, craziness that he gives things. Like, if you've seen him making the Suicide Squad, he said things like, I can't believe they're letting me do this. As long as he maintains that kind of ideology and thought process as a creative, right. Now he's in charge. It's hard to,
because now he's the one who has to, he's the one that, right. It's like, if he was like, I can't believe they're letting me do this. Well, now he's the one who has to let them do it.
Yeah, and he's like, should I be allowing myself to do this?
So maybe he needs some checks and balances. Or like, is it going to be like, maybe it's too much. Maybe it's going to be too much James Gunn.
Could be. So, so I'm going to trust him. I don't feel like I need any more Amanda Waller stuff. We had Amanda Waller in Black Adam. We had Amanda Waller in...
She's everything.
She's in everything DC.
She's like the Nick Fury of the DC universe right now.
Which that's exactly what they were going for, right? They were looking for a way to, Samuel L. Jackson was Nick Fury, and now you've got Amanda Waller, and great actors, by the way. You couldn't ask for better, like, foundation pieces. No. Viola Davis is freaking amazing.
She's literally perfect as that role. Like, I don't
like the Amanda Waller character very much.
Right. When they said we're recasting for the DCU, like, my first thoughts was, who are you gonna get better than Viola Davis for this role?
You're not.
But then again, do you need it though? Like, Amanda Waller was big in the comic books, but she wasn't a part of every comic book.
Yeah, she needs to be seasoning. You got to be careful with her, like they did with Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury. Nick Fury was in all of a sudden in everything,
right?
And it made you not like the stuff as much. There's too much Nick Fury, and they could easily do that with Amanda Waller's character.
Well, I want to like it in the beginning, just to start with, but yeah.
This
is what he says. Far from a surprise, DC co-chairman, CEOs. It's so weird saying that. James Gunn and Peter Safran confirmed that Waller, the spinoff. Sorry, right back up real quick. Okay, quick tangent. If you went back 10 years, let's say you and I, when we were making that very first audio-only podcast where we were talking about, I think it was Man of Steel. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, imagine if I told you, hey, the guy that just made that movie Slither? That weird horror movie with Nathan Fillion? Mm-hmm. He's going to be in charge of the DCU.
Eventually, it'd be weird. Yeah, that would not gone over well. But instead, you got the guy who did, Guardians of the Galaxy in charge of the DCU, and you're like, yeah, okay, I see this.
Right. The guy who got canceled for making a pedophilia joke on Twitter? He's going to be in charge of the DCU.
Which we all laughed at.
It was funny, okay?
It was funny.
He's an irreverent person. All right, sorry, back on track here. It's just a wild thing to me. Like, not very much time has passed between that movie and what's happening now.
No, a lot of time has passed. That's the thing is you got old and you didn't realize it.
I guess.
You realize how long it's been since Man of Steel came out. Was it 2008, 2007?
No, 2011 minimum, right?
Man of Steel. Oh, actually, you're right. 2000. Never mind. My timing is off. 2013 is when it came out.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
So James Gunn and Peter Safran confirmed that Waller, the spinoff of the Suicide Squad HBO Max series Peacemaker, was one of the first TV shows they'll be hatching under the new DC Universe Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters. So that's another thing, too. Their phase 1, people were like, what's this movie, Gods and Monsters? I think they're calling Chapter 1, like their phase 1, Gods and Monsters. It's not a movie called Gods and Monsters, like the Chapter 1 of the DC.
I'm concerned. Let me tell you why I'm concerned. Because I feel like, as much as I want to trust James Gunn, I feel like they're making the same mistake that Marvel made by trying to create all these products. Let's start with a movie and let's see where that goes. Like, I think he's giving us the roadmap. We don't want to see the entire journey. Okay, we shouldn't see the journey because then that creates expectations and makes us anticipate things.
Yeah.
We need to just get that first great movie.
Yep.
And then we'll be like, what's next? Well, now tell us what's next.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we're going to go do this now. You know, as much as we are pissed off at Marvel, they did it right with the Avengers. They just did it right. You know, showcasing each of the individual characters, bringing them together in team up movies. It was just absolute right way to go. And if you throw too much fucking spaghetti at the if you throw too much spaghetti at the wall at one time, people aren't going to know which direction to look. And that's what concerns me about James Gunn's DC.
Yeah, Marvel, it finished the race and it finished first and hard, and it was a photo finish. But then it kept going, and on its second lap, it started smashing into walls.
Yeah, somebody's like, "Why are they still racing? They won.
Let them
happen.
Stop. The race is over. The race is over.
If we keep driving, some people may not leave. They'll stay in the stands. Okay,
that's what it was.
Now, most people have left already, but you still got those certain people. Well, who's up there in the stands? Okay, we got some of the LGBTQ. All right, yeah, let's get a couple of them characters. Who else is up there?
Oh, there's another car out there.
Crashed into the wall again. Oh,
smash it. No, I mean, you're right. What James Gunn, the worst thing he did when he got control of DCU, he immediately came out with a press release. And he's like, "This is what we're gonna do. Everything you're about to see this year, pointless. This is my plan." And you're like, "What are you doing?"
What just happened? Right
Why are you imagine being David Zaslav and you wake up in the morning, you get your coffee, you're like, you know,
I have lots of money. Good.
I thought you're doing a live stream. And our next plan for the deal. Oh, get James on the phone. Like, why are you out there? Why are you telling everyone your entire plan and basically completely erasing what's going to happen the next year of movies? And they have 3 huge releases coming out. Like,
you know, and I have no idea. And it really confuses me as to what is about to happen. Like, that's the only problem is, like, I don't really have a clear idea of what to look forward to. You know, we got the Superman Legacy movie, right? But it is a little confusing. So,
yeah. All right. Well, anyways, I'm looking forward to it regardless. I can't wait to see what the guy does. The whole idea behind, you know, it's just, this is what's interesting to me. It's this little graph, you know, I'm not sure how accurate this is anymore, but booster gold, you know, like I've always wanted to see a booster gold, 2025 to 2027. Booster gold.
That should be at the beginning of, you know, should that be the beginning?
No, I mean, clearly they're doing Superman Legacy first, and I'm not sure how that falls. I don't know where that falls, to be honest.
God, I hope it's amazing and somehow just sets up everything else properly. I really
maybe these things, maybe that movie is what's, you know, because it says 2025, 2027, and Superman Legacy is coming out in 2025.
You know what the problem with doing this is, Brian? It kind of ruins Superman Legacy a little bit. Because now what happens if we have some sort of a booster gold thing in Superman Legacy? The surprise is gone. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I see. You know, it's oh yeah, okay. Instead of said, oh, cool, it's booster gold. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's the problem. Like, that's what was cool about these new characters you get, like when that Marvel did, when they would introduce a new character, you're like, oh my God, it's such and such. Right? Well, DC is totally like, you know, taking that off the table for DC fans by showing us what's coming, right?
Right. No, you're right. Also, I thought that for sure Nathan Fillion is going to be Green Lantern in this universe. So I don't know how that's going to work. But this is what it says. We're using the same actors. This is a continuation of Peacemaker, Gunn told the press in the unveiling DC Chapter 1. I'm working on Superman, so we can't do Peacemaker Season 2. We're working on Waller in between. Maybe just work on Superman, dude.
Maybe just work on Superman. And I mean, and maybe Peacemaker Season 2 before Waller. What?
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. Why does he think everybody wants a Waller? Let me tell you why. They're not making a Waller show because everybody wants Waller. You know why they're making a Waller show? Because they can lock down, you know, an Academy Award winning actress in Viola Davis. That's why they're doing this, because when studios can lock down actors like this and actresses like this, they do it, even if it doesn't make sense.
Oh, good point, actually. Because they did the same thing with Section 31, remember?
Yep, with Michelle Yeoh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Good. And you know what? And that was sort of forced into development in the same exact way. Which we just talked about that last week. You know, they're finally filming it. Interesting. There was an update to this story too. James Gunn, debunking the Amanda Waller rumor that she's going to be a Sam Jackson kind of type of character, Nick Fury kind of character.
Yes, she is. Sure. She already is. It doesn't matter. I mean, her character is essentially, I mean, granted, she seems more of a stone cold killer than Nick Fury, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, someone also reported that the Amanda Waller show and Peacemaker had been canceled. And he said, this was his words. I'm not cursing here. I'm just quoting. It's bullshit. Waller is still being written by Crystal and Jeremy. It's still coming out. So,
okay.
So, look, I know people want to also, because he communicates too much. I think because he communicates too much, a lot of people there's a lot of lines to read through. And
Can you imagine we're complaining about a studio head communicating too much?
I know.
It's ridiculous that we're even saying this.
I know, but somehow he does too much.
Yeah.
I think that he needs to I know he runs his own Twitter and Threads, and by the way, no one's using Threads, dude. But
thank you for doing it yourself.
Right. I appreciate you doing it yourself, but maybe just dial it back a little bit. Man, I hate to say that. But he shares so much. There's so much for people to speculate about constantly.
Oh, God, look at this comment. We'll likely never see a Peacemaker season 2. Seriously, who watched The Suicide Squad and Peacemaker and thought, more Waller is what we want? My guess is no one. I mean, these are the comments from the story. I mean, listen, people don't lie, man. It's pretty obvious what people want, and I hate it when studios do this.
Yeah, he did. He also got the guys from Doom Patrol to pen Waller and Peacemaker season 2, which I think is cool.
I mean, cool. Yeah, no, it's not a bad thing at all. It's just nobody cares about Waller.
Yeah,
nobody.
Cares. Yeah. All right. Well, that's it for that story.
Right.
We are going to the member section pretty soon, and do you want to talk about this Tucker Carlson thing here or in the member section?
Oh, we can talk about it here.
Okay. All right. If you guys weren't aware, Tucker Carlson has been seen in Russia.
It's crazy, man. Dude is crazy.
So first off, I think Tucker Carlson has massive testicles
I'm not sure.
For going to Russia in the middle of all this in secret.
I'm concerned about him. I got to tell you, I've always thought something was just a little off by Tucker Carlson, just like a little bit, but he always made a lot of sense, a lot of common sense things he said, a little hyperbole, a little bit like flashing information that didn't make a lot of sense. But since he got fired from Fox and started doing his own thing, and you start seeing him doing interviews on his own, you realize that the crazy is there, a little bit of crazy when he's talking to all of these different people.
But bro,
I'm not surprised at all that he found his ass in Russia.
No, it's not. And here's the deal. This is not a new thing where journalists interview dictators and people of note. Right?
Right.
Just recall, Hitler was Time's Man of the Year. Not because he was a good person, because it was was popular, and it was important to talk about him and talk with him.
The important thing that you said here was journalist. Now, Tucker Carlson technically is no longer a journalist.
No, just because you're not working at a mainstream media company doesn't mean you're not a journalist.
Well, as far as being recognized as a journalist. So if you notice, all the people who do interview these people are, basically checked and sent out by large corporations in the government, right? Or the
well,
military.
boo fucking who? I don't care if your corporation approves this or not.
I'm trying to tell you, I understand how you feel. Now shut up for a second, okay?
Go ahead.
The thing is, I'm trying to explain it to you. So the way it's always been is it's approved journalist. So somebody you trust, somebody that you want to go out and talk to these people that you believe you're going to get the best foot forward to, whether it's, Barbara, or it's, all the different Ted Koppels and all the people of the world, right? That's who you expected. So when Tucker Carlson goes off and just does it on his own, you get an entirely different feeling about it, especially when half of our country is anti-Tucker Carlson, or more than half of our country probably. So it becomes this, now it's no longer a trusted interview. It's now an untrusted interview. You see what I'm saying? That's the difference. Now I understand what you're saying. Anybody should be able to go do it. He is a journalist. Just because he doesn't work for Fox or somebody else doesn't mean he's not a journalist. The point is that he's not going to be approved, or nobody's going to, people that aren't on his side are the only ones who are going to appreciate this. Nobody else will, if that makes sense.
No, I get completely what you're saying. I can completely understand. However, I don't understand why we're going to allow the giant corporation to dictate who is trusted or not. Because
no, we shouldn't. But I'm saying that's the way it's always been. So I'm not saying we should do it that way. I'm saying that is why the reason why this is getting so much pushback is because nobody's backing him. If Fox was backing him, right? If Fox was sending Tucker Carlson to interview Vladimir Putin, no big deal.
Right.
Okay. The fact that he's on his own doing it is the problem. You see what I'm saying? So
completely understand.
This should be true. Look, I mean, if Dennis Rodman can go to North Korea, I'm pretty sure Tucker Carlson can go to Russia.
Yeah, I completely understand. But when Dennis, what's that guy? That super old guy who is like 99 years old. I'm forgetting his name. I think it's Dennis something.
Reporter?
Yeah, he's like a journalist. Who's, I'm here on the. Oh my god, I'm forgetting his name right now.
There's so many of them.
Anyways, when the super old bag of bones is interviewing, one of the Kims from North Korea, no one says a thing. Well, I don't trust him. I don't trust Barbara Walters. I don't know these people, and I don't trust their reporting.
Right.
So and they're having no issue. In fact, they're applauded and given awards for interviewing dangerous people. And I think they should get awards if they put themselves in harm's way. Instead, what we have is people saying Tucker Carlson should not be allowed to come back into the country if he interviews
Absolutely.
Putin.
And that surprises you?
It doesn't surprise you?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't surprise you that people who are anti-Tucker Carlson thinks now he's a Russian spy. I'm sure that's where it's going next. Now he's telling secrets. He's helping the Russians.
Dan Rather, thank you, Archmage.
Steven Seagal is the Tucker Carlson's the new Steven Seagal. That's where they're going to go with this, because that's what the political left wants to do to the political right. Right? If you're not working for some huge agency and you're not, towing the line, they don't want you over there pushing any narrative that you want to, especially the truth narrative. And unfortunately, that's the way that that the world works right now. Imagine who else could go over there and do this. Imagine if Tucker Carlson's probably the most independent journalist, the one who's got the most clout, so to speak. But imagine if anybody else went over there and decided they're going to interview him. Imagine if Russell Brand decided he was going to interview Putin, right?
Right.
You got the same problem.
So we're just not allowed to interview one side of a conflict that will be in history books.
Not according to the other side of the political spectrum. No. Yeah. I'm not saying you shouldn't be able to, but I'm saying that's what pushback is here. You're going to have this narrative happen every time. Every time you have somebody like this who's an independent go do it, you're going to have this problem. So
that's insane to me. They did they talked to the Valensky, whatever his name, Valensky, the guy, the Ukraine, I'm forgetting his name. Zelensky, thank you. And he was like, I don't know why he's doing that. I don't know if he's doing that. Like, do you think that Zelensky would be happy with that? Of course not. I don't know. This whole thing sort of disgusts me though. Seeing like, so I have 2 Twitter accounts. I have the one that Shay and I use together, and then I have what I call my lurking account. You guys know what a lurker is? The lurker is someone you don't see him, but he can see you. Okay,
that doesn't sound good.
He's like an online stalker, and my lurker account has my picture is the profile. I'm not hiding who I am, but I follow no one, and no one's following me on purpose because I want to see Twitter in all its raw glory with no algorithm telling me what to watch or what to look at. And I always look at that specific profile in incognito because I want to see Twitter in its raw, untouched, no AI telling me what I should see. And honestly, it's a little disgusting. People not understanding what journalism is and why it's important, whether you agree with Tucker Carlson or not, that doesn't matter. But it's important that we talk to Putin. It's important that someone ask Putin questions. We only have one, as the public, we only have one side of this argument. We've literally only seen one side of the story. We need to get both sides. It's silly that instead of applauding this person for risking his life, that's what he's doing. He is risking his life. If Russia is as bad as everyone says it is, then he is 100% risking his life to go in there and talk to Putin. Well, we should support that.
I mean, maybe. I mean, I don't know if he's necessarily risking his life going to Russia. I guess they could decide to keep him, but the reality is they're not gonna keep him because Tucker causes more strife and divisiveness in our own country by being active. He probably does more for because obviously these other countries want us to tear ourselves apart. So the last thing they're going to do is like keep him so that he can't continue pissing off the left side of the country. Right. So I don't see it as being necessarily guys like him who's actually so popular. I'd be more concerned about maybe lower tier journalists or independents who go over there who don't really have any backing, so to speak, or any clout, and then they end up maybe saying, we can get rid of this one. So I feel like those people will be in more danger than him.
Yeah, you may be right. This is what Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has to say. And by the way, recently Robert F. Kennedy liked one of our podcasts. So just remember that. He even commented and said, "Wow."
Whoa!
Wow! With a heart face. I do like Robert F. Kennedy though. He says the legacy media is in shambles because we've caught onto their lies and propaganda. Tucker Carlson has every right to interview Putin. We need more transparency instead of less. It used to be understood journalists would interview world leaders, even if those with whom we were at war. 100%. Now, look, some of the comments are like, look, Tucker Carlson is a Putin stan, and that's fine. I get that, and maybe that's the case. I don't know a whole lot about Tucker Carlson. I tangentially watch his stuff. But regardless, Kennedy's right. We need more transparency and not less.
100% true. And the thing is like, you want people to ask Putin the hard questions, but the reality is that Putin's not a dummy. Like he's answered these tough questions before. He's done these interviews before. He's obviously, he obviously hates our country. I don't know how much more you're going to get out of him. I don't know how much more information he's going to give you that's really going to be helpful. I mean, the fact that he's asking the questions is great, but I don't know what we're really going to get out of it. Any sort of commitment from Putin to, I'm going to, yes, you know what? After talking to you, Tucker, I'm going to stop fighting with Ukraine. I'm done with it now. Thank you. I could have seen the world through your eyes. And now that I am now a far right politician, never mind, good.
No, we just sent Joe Rogan over there. He's like, listen, Putin, bro.
Oh, Joe Rogan might be able to get through to him.
Listen, Putin, bro. Yo, bro. Listen. Take this DMA and hit the spliff. Okay, and let's just have a conversation, right? Like
and we'll go to the gym.
Fast forward like 30 minutes later, Putin's like, he's like, I don't think I need to attack Ukraine anymore, right, bro?
Is
Let's
that
go.
the
Let's
answer?
just go work out together, bro.
Let's go into the floating tank.
I think you're right. Aliens are trippy, bro. You've heard
Joe Rogan
you heard
would
this
probably
Graham
solve this problem.
Hancock guy?
Right. And we get Graham Hancock in here to talk about, Tepi. Beckley Tepi. All right, let's move on.
All right, moving on. Yeah, that's it. Listen, let us know what you guys think about this Tucker Carlson thing. Bottom line is more transparency and not less. I like what Kennedy said there.
True. 100% true.
I really like? I like being able to talk about a Kennedy in 2024 that's still alive. That's
it's just hard to listen to him. It's hard to listen to him.
Yeah, it is.
It's a bummer what happened to him, but it is difficult to listen to him talk.
Yeah, same with DeSantis. Like you sort of like DeSantis, but then you're like watching him in person. He's got all kinds of tics, bro, and he's like really he's so awkward and
dude's under so much pressure.
he's like he's just gonna explode. All right, guys, that's it. We're going to the member section. Look, we revamped a little bit. We are going to be stopping, but then immediately starting in the member section. I could not figure out how to have a actual private members section on the same stream. I apologize deeply. I will keep working on it. But in the meantime, this is what we're going to do. If you are not a member and you want to be one, I would appreciate it. Shane would appreciate it. And the channel would be better for it, because that's the only reason we do these shows, is because the members that support us, you have literally financially supported us this last 3 months, or financially given us the ability to continue doing the show 3 times a week. And we want to thank you for that. And we hope that if you're not a member, you can become a member today. The way you do that is you hit the join button below. Pretty simple. And if you want to find the member section, you can stay right here. And when it ends, it's going to take you right to the member section. If you don't want to wait for it to take you there, you can click on the link that's in the description of this stream and go right there. And if you want to go the long way around, just click on the channel name and you'll find it the very first thing that starts right after this. And on the buzzer, No Money G coming through with the 5 Pop Culture Unleashed memberships. He wanted to make sure that he had some company in the members section.
Thank you, No Money. Appreciate it, brother.
I appreciate it so much. All right, we're going over there. Hope you can join us. If not, we'll see you on Wednesday at 10.
Nothing is impossible. Just do it. Do it. Just do it. Yes, you can. Just do it.